Jeff, you spent, as part of your policing career, not just time in Avon and Somerset and in Worcestershire, Warwickshire, beg your pardon, beg their pardon as well, but also overseas. So, how did that come about? What did you make of it?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I did a brief exchange in the Czech Republic, but I won't really go into that too much. I think the major focus for me was I spent 18 months as the Chief Officer on Ascension Island, part of the St Helena Police Force in the South Atlantic Ocean. It's halfway between Africa and South America. Very small island, a staging post for the military. It is in fact really a military island. Everything services the runway. So I had finished with Avon and Somerset Police. I'd done my 30 years service. We'll just let a vehicle go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I finished my 30 years service with Avon and Somerset, retired, and really had no idea about what I wanted to do. Was very fortunate in that I saw the post advertised for Ascension and applied. And after a very quick sort of application process, because it was very last minute in terms of their time scales, I was fortunate enough to be selected. Sorry, I'll just turn the radio off. I should have turned that off before. I was fortunate enough to be selected and was given a 2-year contract on the British Overseas Territory. Arriving, it is very much based on English law, although the English law, because they gained independence, was kind of dated back to round about the mid-90s. So, you know, Pace Code G hadn't quite progressed that far, so I was having to rewind my learning of the pace clock back to previous times. But most of the legislation is UK based. So if there is no law in Ascension, they go back to St Helenian law, and if there's no law in St Helena, they revert back to what the UK law is. So you're dealing with very...
So you found some similarities
So
there.
A lot of similarities. The uniform's the same. In fact, the uniform was supplied by Avon and Somerset Police, despite it being many thousands of miles away. It was a small team. Again, had a sergeant, 4 constables, 2 special constables, and we were joined on occasion by an RAF police officer. Again, very small community, a bit like the port in that respect. Issues were very community based, but because it was a very small isolated island, a reluctance maybe to report a lot of things that were happening because they were interacting with their friends and colleagues. So,
what about those who might be considering an overseas posting, whether an overseas posting from indeed the UK to elsewhere, or indeed around the world, an overseas posting from I don't know, Australia, New Zealand, or Canada to somewhere else? Something you'd recommend?
Well, I found it fantastic, and I've taken a lot from it, both professionally and personally. But it isn't policing the UK, clearly. So I think my recommendation would be for anybody considering it is to do your research and actually what are you hoping to get from it? What do you think you are bringing to the table in terms of when you arrive in your overseas territory or wherever you might be going, and not to consider that you are the cavalry coming over the hill to rescue the day. In fact, a very good phrase that was used on Ascension Island when it came to expats coming, because there would be a churn of 2-year contracts, was bad go and worse come. So you know, they get very change weary when people come with their best new idea, try to implement it, and 2 years later they've gone and somebody else has got the next best idea. So think about those issues, think about actually how it's going to impact on your family, because it won't just be you going. So in my case, my wife, and I had a son who was 4 years old at the time who came with us, and how that's going to impact on schooling and your life, and what's your family going to do, because actually they're going to be removed from their kind of support network and all the things that are familiar to them. So it is a big upheaval, it is a big risk, but my experience has been it's definitely worth taking.
It's getting a little windier here. Let's head back to the office, where hopefully we won't get the wind effect on the microphone. So back to the office now it is. So here we are, Jeff, back in your office. Thank you for the tour around the port of Bristol. On this policing friendship tour, I always ask those I interview to nominate a charity. We're trying to raise funds for various charities that relate to policing friendship and the like. Your nomination for your charity?
Well, I'm going to start off with the Gurney Fund. The Gurney Fund is something that I've been aware of from when I first joined the police way back in 1986. That fund aims to give grants to children of officers who have either died in service or have had to retire through ill health. And that would be my charity, I think, making sure, or working in the knowledge that your children are taken care of should something dire and catastrophic happen to you, brings great peace of mind and a fantastic charity. The other thing that I would touch on while I was here, I'm going to nominate two. We are very closely involved at the moment with the police roll of honour. We have an officer who passed away in 1929. John Richard Holt, who was a constable here, was killed on duty. He's the only member of the Bristol Port Police who have died whilst on duty. We have funded a blue plaque in memory of him, which we are aiming to dedicate on a service on the anniversary of his death on the 8th of July. Again, it's very important that those who make the ultimate sacrifice whilst keeping the country safe, it's important that they're recognised, not just for their colleagues, but actually anybody looking can know the sacrifices that are being made. So again, Police Roll of Honour Trust is another charity.